You were supposed to die out there." When the explosion rocked the Utah desert, the entire Special Forces team vanished in a sea of fire. Only Sergeant Maya Carter remained, blood streaking the burning sand, the only sound a thick, deafening ringing in her head. No radio, no backup. Just her, an M24 rifle, and the shadow of an enemy sweeping the mountainside. 12 miles away, her teammates were still alive, trapped in a canyon, waiting for a miracle they didn't know would come. Maya had no choice. She crawled from the wreckage, steadied her rifle, and peered through the scope 3,200 meters. One shot. One chance. One woman the world underestimated was about to do the unthinkable. Would that shot save her team, or bury the name Ghost forever in the red desert? The Utah desert was silent. Only sand, wind, and a vacuum-like stillness lingered after the blast. A ray of sunlight pierced the smoke, illuminating twisted metal shards, the remnants of a Humvee blown apart. Amid it all, Sergeant Maya Carter lay motionless, her face caked with blood and red dust. She didn't know how long she'd been unconscious. Her mind was a fractured mess of sounds, sirens blaring, shouts of, "Contact right!" Then a blinding white flash gone in a second. Now, only the wind howled through the rocky ridges, carrying the smell of gunpowder and scorched metal. Maya forced her eyes open, her vision blurred, as if seen through water. Every muscle felt torn. Her left arm throbbed, dislocated shoulder, blood soaking her sleeve. She touched her neck. Still a pulse. Alive. She tried to piece it together. Delta 9 had been sent to the San Rafael Valley to recon an illegal weapons cache, suspected to belong to a mercenary group. Then the explosion. No warning. No time to react. Propping herself on her elbow, she crawled from a half-meter crater. Wind whipped her blood-matted auburn hair, streaking it across her cheek. Before her stretched a nightmare landscape. 4 vehicles, completely destroyed. No radio signal. Not a single human sound. Maya staggered to her feet. Her body trembled, but her steel-gray eyes scanned instinctively. All that remained of her team was shattered armor and black scorch marks on the sand. A faint sound echoed in the distance, a clink of metal, then hurried breathing. She crouched, sliding down a rocky slope. There, among broken stones, she spotted a black cap with the Delta 9 insignia, Rodriguez's. Clutching it, she swallowed hard. Her father's voice echoed in her memory, low and steady as the desert wind. When the smoke still rises, you don't get to despair. The survivor is the one with a mission. She checked her gear. M24 scope intact, suppressor slightly dented. Ammo, 11 rounds. Water, half a canteen. Enough to survive a few hours. Or to fight. The western sky darkened. Squinting, Maya saw black dots moving in a line, about 10 men, heavily armed, descending the canyon. They were hunting survivors, and they were coming for her. Her body screamed for rest, but her mind was ice cold. She crawled up a ledge, camouflaging herself with a torn scrap from her scorched pack. Every movement recalled her training, the patience of stone her father taught her. 3 hours. She lay still, breathing only when the wind shifted. Through the scope she counted. 10, then 9. One held a radio. Encrypted signal, American accent. Maya froze. Not foreign enemies. She caught fragments. Delta 9 wiped out. Objective complete. Prepare to recover evidence. A chill ran down her spine. The explosion wasn't an ambush, it was staged. She looked at her bloodied hand, then to the northern canyon where her team might have retreated. If they were alive, they were being hunted, and she was their only line of sight. Maya visualized a 3D terrain map, calculating swiftly. Southwest wind at 12 miles per hour, 96 degrees Fahrenheit, low pressure. Distance to canyon edge, 3,200 meters. If the radio holder was the leader, one shot could disrupt their unit, giving her team a chance to escape. She inhaled deeply, painful, but steady. Wind, breath, heartbeat, all fell into the rhythm of dawn training with her father. A sniper never trembles, fear makes the bullet stray. She unzipped her gear, cleaned the lens with her sleeve's edge. Sand stung her wounds, but she ignored it. Her eye locked through the scope, crosshairs aligned on the ridge where the enemy leader stood, issuing orders. A bead of sweat rolled into her eye. She held her breath. Waited. Wind shifted. 2 more seconds. Aimed. Fired. The shot echoed across the desert. The radio holder collapsed. The others scattered. Maya slid back, vanishing into cover. Her heart pounded, but her eyes were cold as steel. She had survived, and now she knew this was no longer a recon mission. Someone wanted Delta 9 gone, and she, the last one standing, had just become a living witness. And the next target. The sky turned bronze. The late sun cast slanted rays through fine dust, painting everything in a surreal orange hue, beautiful, yet deadly. Maya lay under a ledge, clutching her M24 to her chest. The echo of her shot still rang in her ears, blending with her heartbeat. That shot had taken out the commander. She knew because the enemy's formation crumbled, survivors scrambling into the rocky crevices with chaos in their wake. But instead of triumph, Maya felt a hollow void. That shot wasn't just survival, it was a declaration of war against those once on her side. The wind shifted, dispersing the gunpowder smell. Maya sat up, pulling Rodriguez's cap from her pack. She set it beside her, smoothing its singed edge. "You said if I ever had to shoot our own, I'd know." She spoke softly, almost a whisper, as if addressing the void. A memory surged her at 14, in the Utah Basin. Her father, Master Sergeant David Longshot Carter, knelt behind her, adjusting her stance with his large, steady hand. "Hold your breath like it's a secret, Maya," he said. "Breathe too fast, and the bullet carries your fear." He pressed her shoulder, aligning her with a target 1,000 meters out. She exhaled halfway and squeezed the trigger. Ping! The bullet hit dead center. Her father smiled, placing his cap on her head. "Good job, little ghost. But never forget the real shot isn't here." He tapped the rifle. "It's here." He touched his chest. Maya blinked. As the memory faded, she found herself mimicking the gesture hand on her chest, feeling her heart's steady beat. She had to move before night fell. The wind would shift, temperatures would drop, and the enemy could use thermal imaging to track her. She slid down the ridge, each step burning, blood drying stiff on her fatigues like armor. In the distance, thunder rumbled, not a storm, but 155 millimeters artillery from a training base 20 miles away. A small detail, but it told Maya that Delta 9 hadn't been erased from the system yet. If someone was monitoring military frequencies, they might hear her. She activated her radio, tuning to the internal channel. White noise flooded the display. 30 seconds of silence, then a faint click. 3 short beeps, Morse code Delta 9 used for emergencies, Delta alive. Maya held her breath. Someone was alive. She wasn't crazy. Her father's voice echoed again, low and firm. A sniper doesn't stop after the shot. Each one opens a new equation. The equation now: 4 teammates trapped, enemies hunting, and her alone, no backup. But she had what they didn't: the high ground. Maya recalled the old terrain map, cross-referencing her wrist GPS. From her position, a southern ridge offered a clear shot into the canyon where the signal originated. Steady wind, low light near perfect sniper conditions. She looked up, the sun sinking into the mountains. Half a red orb, blending with the blood on her hands, creating an almost unreal hue. "Sand, blood, and metal," she whispered. "The 3 things that make a battlefield." She tucked Rodriguez's cap into her belt, a silent promise to return it. Her right hand gripped the rifle. She began climbing the ridge. The path was steep, rocks sharp, each slip requiring her to claw back up. It took nearly an hour to reach a higher vantage, where the wind whipped her hair loose from its braid. At the top, she dropped flat, peering through binoculars. Far below, in a narrow canyon between two rock faces, she saw a flashing light, 3 short, 1 long, Delta's signal. They were alive, and surrounded by at least 20 enemies, moving in an arc. A chill ran down her spine. Her father's words returned. "You'll know when it's time to prove yourself. But never shoot to prove. Shoot for what needs saving." Maya lay still. Darkness crept over the desert. She unfolded a singed paper map, marking the distance 3,200 meters exact. Northwest wind. Low humidity. She adjusted her scope. Her radio crackled, a weak male voice, broken. "Ghost, if you hear this, we're pinned. Johnson, wounded. No ammo. Please." The signal cut. Maya's grip tightened. All pain, anger, and fear fused into one thing: survival. She inhaled deeply, smelling earth, blood, and the training days of old. In that moment, she wasn't a lone soldier in the desert. She was Ghost, daughter of David Longshot Carter, the immortal soul of an American sniper. Wind stung her cheeks, cold enough to make her eyes water. She flipped the scope's cover, aligning it with the canyon. Far below, in the darkening red sand, a green laser blinked once. Enemy signal. She knew the night hunt had begun. The Utah night cloaked the desert like a heavy blanket. No more sun, but heat still radiated from the ground, creating a faint, shimmering haze over the sand. Maya lay on the ridge, eyes glued to her scope. From here, she could see the canyon where her team was pinned. 17 shadows moved like specters, fanning out around the small area where Delta 9 hid. The radio offered only static. Transmitting again would expose her position. So, Maya relied on her eyes, the wind, and the one thing left. The instinct of someone who'd lived on the edge of life and death. A cold gust swept through, carrying a faint, familiar whistle, 3 short, 1 long, team code. She swallowed hard. It was them. Morrison. He was alive, signaling the enemy was closing in. Maya adjusted her scope, scanning the low trees to the south. As expected, 2 enemies crawled toward the canyon, equipped with night vision and handheld grenade launchers. They didn't know someone watched from over 3 kilometers away. She inhaled, slowing her breath. In the dark, it blended with the wind. A memory flickered, her father kneeling beside a 15-year-old Maya, teaching her to read wind through the movement of sand. You don't need to see the wind to know its direction. Watch how the world moves. Now, the world moved as he'd taught. Sand grains rolled northeast, signaling an erratic crosswind. She adjusted for drift, raising the scope 2 clicks. When one enemy paused to report via radio, she fired. The muffled shot vanished into the wind. Through the scope, the soldier collapsed silently. The other froze, scanning for the source. Maya had already chambered the next round. The second shot pierced his shoulder, throwing him into the brush. She didn't wait. Sliding 40 degrees right, she repositioned between 2 rocks. Every move was textbook. Shift. Aim. Shoot. Relocate. No wasted motion. In the canyon, Morrison must have heard. He'd know only one person could make that shot. Ghost, he whispered, voice trembling. She's alive. On the other side, the enemy reacted. 2 red lasers swept the ridge, searching for her. Bullets ricocheted off rocks, sparking. Maya lay flat, closing her eyes, counting heartbeats. 3, 2, 1. Wind shifted. She moved to a 3rd position, gaining a view of the canyon's center. There, 6 enemies gathered around a glowing object, a downed recon drone. They were extracting its data card, likely containing Delta 9's identities. If they succeeded, her team had no chance. Maya set her scope, checking the distance 3,180 meters. Far, but within her skill. She recalled her father's final lesson. the night before he left for Afghanistan. Some shots aren't to kill, but to remind the world justice still exists. She pulled the trigger. The first shot pierced an enemy's shoulder as he bent over the drone. He fell, clutching metal. The others scattered, firing wildly into the dark. Maya fired twice more, then moved. Wind swirled, carrying gunpowder and red dust. She stopped higher up, catching her breath. Cold sweat dripped down her spine. Her shoulder burned, vision blurring from dried blood. But she held on. Every minute she stopped was a lost chance for her team. Below, the enemy began retreating west. Morrison and two others used the chaos to slip from the main canyon. Through her scope, Maya saw them dragging each other over rocks, one supporting another. Under moonlight, their silhouettes were small but resilient. A faint voice crackled through the radio. "Ghost. I see you. North. Another squad. Above the ridge." She aimed upward, spotting 3 faint heat signatures on the eastern slope. An enemy support team with mortars. If they fired, the canyon would collapse. She checked her ammo. 4 rounds. 3 targets. 1 spare. Her breath shortened, eyes unblinking. 3 soft shots rang out. 3 bodies fell, tumbling off the cliff into darkness. Maya inhaled deeply, feeling cold spread through her. She was running out of strength. But in her exhaustion, her father's voice whispered, light as wind, "You're doing well, Ghost. But don't forget the dark hears your heartbeat too." She flinched, looking around. No one. Just desert, wind, and hallucinations, maybe from blood loss, or her mind merging with the night's silence. In the canyon, Morrison signaled with a small white light, 3 flashes. They were temporarily safe. Maya smiled wearily, pressing her cheek to the cold sand, eyes still on the scope. Far off, west, vehicles moved. Headlights flared. Not enemy. U.S. military. She knew it was rescue, but also danger. If they arrived, they'd find evidence of her shots. She couldn't stay. She dismantled her rifle, buried it under sand, grabbed her map, and slid down the ridge. Cold winds stung her face, loosening her hair. In the distance, rescue lights illuminated the canyon where her team was saved. But she, Ghost, melted into the night, leaving only spent casings in the sand, the sole trace of impossible shots that saved her team. Dawn after the battle rose slowly, as if the desert itself was weary from witnessing so much blood. Pale gold light filtered through the rocks, illuminating blast craters and scorched armor. No more gunfire. No screams, just the hollow silence of a former battlefield. Miles away, Sergeant Maya Carter leaned against a rock face, hands cracked, eyes bloodshot from sleeplessness. She'd watched the rescue lights all night, seeing her team airlifted one by one. As chopper blades churned the sand, she finally exhaled. They'd survived, but she knew appearing with them would complicate everything. Because the explosion wasn't an accident. It was a cleanup, and she was the only witness still breathing. Maya trekked west to an abandoned checkpoint, a former sniper training post at Dugway Base, where she'd once trained. Each step ached, but the pain kept her sharp. In an old tent, she found a PRC 152 military radio. Low battery, but functional. She powered it on, tuning to a secure channel. After static, a distant male voice answered, "Wary. This is Delta 9 acting command. Who's on this frequency?" "Ghost Carter," she replied curtly. "Report. 8 survivors. Enemy neutralized. Need verification on the orchestrator's identity." "Carter?" The voice faltered. You're dead. Casualty list confirmed." "Who's this?" She gripped the mic, keeping her voice steady. "If I'm dead, who saved your team?" A long pause. Then a click. They cut the connection. Maya stared at the radio, chest tightening. They didn't want her alive. They didn't want this story to exist. She leaned against the wall, breathing deeply. Her mind replayed last night. 3 perfect sniper shots, piercing the dark, the lives she saved. But officially she'd been erased. A dead woman couldn't testify or demand an investigation. It was the perfect way to bury the truth. The sun grew harsher. Maya rummaged through her pack, finding a worn photo her and her father at her first training. He smiled, beard scruffy, hand on her shoulder as she held a rifle longer than her arm. "Sometimes, you have to disappear to do what's right," he'd said. "But never let them define who you are." She clutched the photo, tucking it into her pocket. Outside, an engine roared. A military truck approached, bearing the Special Operations Command logo. Maya slipped behind the wall, drawing her knife. 2 men dismounted standard fatigues, weapons, but their eyes weren't friendly. "This area's sealed," one shouted. "Anyone left in the blast zone is considered missing or AWOL." Maya tightened her grip. AWOL. They'd scripted her fate. The second man advanced, sweeping an infrared light. One more step, and he'd see her. Maya bit her lip, sliding to the back window, crawling out silently. She moved with the sunlight, inches from the ground, as if the sand itself shielded her. When the men entered the tent, she was gone. Half a mile away, Maya climbed a slope, looking down. The truck left, carrying recovered gear. In the sunlight, she saw them burn documents in a drum, one marked, Carter, M. Her lips tightened, eyes stinging. She just watched her own record burn. Above, 2 choppers carrying her team flew past. Maya raised her hand instinctively to signal, then stopped. They didn't know she lived, and if they did, they might be forced to stay silent. She lowered her hand, watching the choppers fade. As the sun peaked, Maya found a flat rock, sitting to clean her M24. Her hands trembled slightly, but her movements were precise. Every scratch, every bolt, was familiar as her own veins. "They think I'm dead, Dad," she whispered, voice hoarse. "But I won't let them bury the truth with me." She checked her magazine, 6 rounds left, 6 chances to rewrite the story. In the distance, wind carried a metallic clank. She looked up, spotting a silver casing in the sand, not hers. A Barrett, 50 calories round, still warm. Someone else was shooting, and not far. Maya squinted toward the sound. A faint glint flashed among eastern rocks. Another sniper. She realized they were erasing the final traces of the ambush. If they found her, they'd ensure she stayed dead this time. She loaded around, crouched low, and crept toward the glint. Her father's voice echoed resolute as her pulse. "A true sniper doesn't flee the storm. They walk into it, because only in the storm do lies reveal themselves." She chambered the first round. The storm had begun. The desert noon blazed past 110 degrees Fahrenheit. The air shimmered like molten glass. Sweat evaporated off Maya's face, leaving white salt on her skin. She lay flat between 2 rocks, eyes locked on her scope. Half a mile away, in a cracked ravine, a glint reflected from another scope, someone watching her. Maya stayed still. A professional sniper wouldn't shoot immediately. He was testing her reflexes. She let the sun burn, steadying her heartbeat, waiting. 3 minutes passed, then 5, then 10. No shot. Just wind's howl and wavering heat. Then, a sharp crack. A bullet grazed her shoulder, shattering rock behind her. She rolled aside, clinging to the ridge, heart racing. The shot came from the east. 1,800 meters. She adjusted her scope, scanning. Through the lens, she saw him. U.S. Fatigues. Special Forces patch. Face masked. But his stance and rifle placement, chillingly familiar. Captain Marcus Webb, her commander. The one who led Delta 9 into that mission. Maya's heart clenched. She remembered his words before the chopper dropped them. Observe only, no engagement. When she reported suspicious movement, he'd silenced her. Now, he was here, shooting at her, erasing the last piece of the puzzle. She lay still, closing her eyes, fighting rage. Her father's voice returned. Don't let a traitor steal your calm. Anger makes you miss the target. Maya inhaled deeply. She couldn't shoot rashly. He was good. She'd seen Webb teach recruits to use wind and heat to mask shots. If she missed, he'd vanish forever. She circled right, crawling through rocks, each inch agonizing. Her shoulder bled, but she pressed on. She had to get closer. 30 minutes later she reached a higher vantage. She aimed down. Webb was still there, adjusting his rifle, speaking into a radio. His voice crackled faintly through her damaged earpiece. Target still moving. Clear all traces. No survivors. Clear all traces. The words froze her blood. The explosion, her erased record all planned. She carved a faint D on a bullet casing with her knife. David. Her father's name. She loaded it. Not for revenge. For closure. Through the scope she saw Webb's face clearly for the first time. He'd removed his mask to wipe sweat. Those eyes once encouraged her, saying, Carter, you're good. Now they were empty. She adjusted for wind, setting the range at 1,850 meters. Far but within her skill. Her hands were slick, but steady. This is for them, she whispered. And for you, Dad. She held her breath, fired. The shot echoed dryly. Webb fell back, his rifle flying. Maya stayed still, emotionless. No cheer. Just wind. Just silence. She crawled to his position, checking. One bullet through the shoulder. Non-lethal. Webb was breathing, eyes wide, staring at her. Blood seeped from his vest. Carter. His voice rasped, trembling. You don't understand. I had no choice. No choice? She asked, voice cold. You chose to kill 8 of your own. Orders from above. You don't know what they did. Project Black Mesa. They wanted it buried. Maya paused. Project Black Mesa? She'd never heard of it. Webb reached for his radio, but she knocked it away. Who gave the order? General level. People you'll never reach. A small explosion echoed below the valley. Maya glanced back. Black smoke rose from her last position. They'd rigged explosives to erase the site. 10 minutes longer, and she'd be ash. She looked at Webb. He was bleeding out fast. They're coming, he gasped. Run. If they know you're alive, they'll... She placed her father's photo on his chest. You chose your path, Captain. She stood, stepping back. And I choose the truth. She left without looking back. As her shadow vanished among the rocks, a soft explosion sounded. Webb's chambered round detonated from heat. Maya didn't know if he died from blood, fire, or guilt. She only knew his words echoed like a drumbeat. Project Black Mesa. A name that told her this was bigger than any ambush. On her retreat, she grabbed Webb's radio. Its frequency was locked to an encrypted channel. She listened a woman's voice, cold and clear. Alpha target eliminated. Proceed to phase 2. Confirm Carter remains dead. Maya switched off the radio, gripped her M24. Her father's voice rang again, heavy and certain. When they want you silent, that's when you speak the loudest. She looked to Utah's red horizon, sand swirling like dried blood in the wind. All right, she whispered. If they want Ghost gone, I'll show them a ghost that fights. The Utah sky turned gray bronze by afternoon, sunlight spilling across the desert in endless shadows. At the valley's southern edge, military choppers circled, sweeping infrared beams over the ground. Below, armored vehicles expanded their search radius. They called it Phantom Sweep to erase the ghost. The ghost they hunted was her Sergeant Maya Ghost Carter, who should have died in the blast. She'd been running for 8 hours since leaving Webb's body. Blood crusted her wrists, her shoulder ached, and her throat burned like sand. But she kept moving, slipping through crevices, using her army training to evade the army itself. She knew capture meant no court-martial. They'd erase her like Webb, like Delta 9. In the distance, jet engines echoed off cliffs. A chopper descended, blades kicking up sand. Maya rolled into a ditch, pulling her camo cloak over her, holding her breath. An infrared laser swept within meters. A sweat drop rolled down her cheek, hitting the sand just then. The chopper veered off. She waited 10 seconds before exhaling. Night was coming. She had to move before they set up camp. From here, she could see the San Rafael Range. Its old testing caves offered shelter. She checked Webb's GPS. It showed the shortest route, also the easiest for an ambush. Maya smirked, switched it off, and chose the opposite path. If they wanted to hunt her, she'd make them chase a shadow in the wrong direction. At dusk, she paused on a ridge, overlooking the valley. White lights moved like insects, tanks, drones, infantry, all centrally coordinated. An idea sparked. If she accessed their command frequency, she could track their positions. And Webb might have left her the key. She pulled out his radio, pried off the casing, and rewired the antenna with bullet copper. A spark flared, then static. She tuned to 33.1 MHz's standard command frequency. Female target, 5'7". Auburn hair, long-range sniper capability. Extremely dangerous. Avoid engagement. Prioritize elimination. The commander's voice was cold, mechanical. She recognized it. Colonel Simon Voss, Webb's direct superior. The man who denied her sniper certification, saying, "The front line isn't for women." Maya clenched her fist. The pieces fell into place. Voss orchestrated the explosion. Webb was his pawn, Delta 9 the sacrifice. All to hide Black Mesa, whatever it was. "All right, Colonel," she whispered, eyes narrowing. "If you want to hunt Ghost, I'll show you what it's like to be prey." She unpacked her M24. 4 rounds left. Not enough to fight, but enough to scare. Maya climbed to a high outcrop, wind whipping small dust devils. She used it wind-masked gunfire. Through her scope, she spotted 3 special forces, soldiers scouting. 600 meters out, she held her breath. Fired. The first shot pierced the leader's shoulder. The others ducked. She repositioned, fired twice more. Non-lethal, just enough to make them think she was west. The pursuit team swarmed that direction. Maya smirked. "Now let's see who's the prey." She withdrew, moving against the wind to an old canyon relay station. There, she could send evidence of the ambush, her recording with Webb to safety. En route, the sky flashed. A recon drone appeared, its green laser sweeping. Maya dove behind a rock, heart pounding. The drone circled, dropping a flare. White light disoriented her. 3 shadows repelled from a chopper above. Boots hit sand. A man shouted, "Target spotted! Lock position!" Maya reacted. She rolled, drew her knife, and slashed a soldier's wrist as he aimed. He screamed, collapsing. She grabbed his M4, fired 2 short bursts at the next shadow, then slid into a crevice. Bullets tore the sand, kicking up dust. She crawled through a narrow gap, dropping to a lower canyon level. Shoulder pain made her vision swim, but the chopper's roar kept her alert. They were deploying more troops. A flare landed nearby, illuminating her face, gray eyes like steel. "You want to hunt a ghost?" she whispered, voice raw. "Let's see who vanishes first." She aimed, shot the flare, extinguishing it. Darkness swallowed her. Silence. Wind. Footsteps. Maya slipped from the crevice, vanishing into the rocks. Voss's voice crackled over the radio, furious. "No one leaves until she's confirmed dead. Burn the desert if you have to." Maya smiled faintly. "You'll need to burn all of America to kill me." She gripped her M24, eyes on the old relay station. It was where she'd send her first declaration of war, a ghost challenge to the system that betrayed her. The Utah night carried an unnatural chill, not from the air but from the absolute silence after the firestorm. The moon hung like a white scar, casting light on rippling black sand. Maya crawled through rocks, each step a dry scrape of sand and steel. 3 miles away was her target. White Ridge Signal Station, an abandoned 1992 military relay. Its broken antennas loomed, but the underground bunker might still work. If she activated it, she could broadcast evidence of the ambush, exposing phantom sweep. She rebandaged her shoulder, clutching her father's old knife, its worn blade etched with, "Stay calm." Not advice, a command. Maya slipped into the bunker's entrance, the stench of rust and damp hitting her. Her helmet's flashlight illuminated moss-covered panels and cracked keys. She dropped her pack, pulling out Webb's radio drive. Their conversation, blast coordinates, Voss's orders, all there. The screen glowed, casting green light on her face. She plugged in the drive, accessing a secure military channel. The signal was weak but could transmit with boosted power. Her fingers, trembling from cold and exhaustion, typed the code. A metallic clank echoed behind her. Maya spun, raising her rifle. A red laser grazed her shoulder, hitting the wall. A bullet shattered concrete. She dove behind a console, heart racing. In the flickering light, a figure entered, rifle raised, moving like a cat. Not a regular soldier. A sniper's gait, controlled breathing. "Carter!" A hoarse male voice called, clear. "The colonel's orders. No transmission. Don't make me do this." Maya recognized it. Sergeant Johnson, Delta 9's demolitions expert. The man she thought died in the blast. "Johnson," she whispered. "They turned you?" "No choice, Maya. I owe them my life. You're destroying everything." She crouched lower, inhaling. "You know I'm not wrong. Voss killed Webb, used you as bait. You still have a choice, Johnson." He paused, then squinted. "No, Ghost. This time, no one survives." A shot rang out. The wall by her splintered. Maya rolled, firing twice, killing the bunker's lights. Darkness enveloped them, broken only by muzzle flashes. She moved silently, switching positions. Johnson fired wildly, then stopped to listen. Maya drew her father's knife, creeping along the wall. His breathing was close. "Maya," he called softly. "They say you're a national threat. Then this nation needs to remember who saved it," she replied, lunging. The blade hit his vest, glancing off, but knocked him down. She wrested his rifle, aiming it at him. The console's light revealed his face, sweaty, eyes regretful. "I'm sorry," Johnson whispered. "I just wanted to live." "So do I." She fired. The shot echoed, then silenced. The bunker fell quiet. Maya slumped, chest heaving. No victory tonight. Just another shadow gone. She returned to the console. Signal locked. Transmitting blinked. She typed commands, routing data to civilian satellites, not military. The signal was weak but moving. Outside, engines roared. Drones. She had less than 5 minutes before they traced her. She cranked the power lever. The station shook. Red lights flashed, alarms blared. Dust rained down as walls trembled. Maya shouted into the mic. "This is Sergeant Maya Carter. Call sign Ghost ID 245 Delta. I have evidence of the Delta 9 ambush and Colonel Simon Voss's cover-up. Sending all data to any active public channel." The signal read, "Transmitting 89%. Above, choppers arrived." White light flooded down. She bolted from the bunker, sprinting through rocks. Bullets whistled overhead, exploding sand around her feet. "Carter, stand down!" A voice boomed through a megaphone. "You'll be shot!" She didn't stop. She ran for the rocky hill, clutching the second drive. Halfway up she turned, aiming through her scope one last time. The chopper's spotlight blazed, showing a U.S. Army emblem. She targeted the lens, fired. The single shot shattered it, plunging the chopper into darkness. It wobbled, veering off. She kept running. Behind her, a massive explosion roared as the station overloaded, igniting like a small sun in the night. Maya fell, rolling in the sand. The fire column lit the valley, illuminating her dirt-streaked, exhausted face, her eyes still bright. She checked her wristwatch. Transmission complete. Dad, she whispered. I sent it. In the smoke, chopper engines faded. Maya lay still, clutching her father's photo, sand covering her body. 2 days after the White Ridge explosion, the Utah desert resembled a giant, scorched wound. The sky was gray with ash, the air thick with smoke and burnt metal. The area was sealed as a restricted zone. The military called it a fuel mishap, but nearby townsfolk whispered, "They're hiding something." At night, amid warm ashes, a small movement stirred in the black sand. A bloodied hand pushed through. Then a slight figure rose. Gray eyes reflected the dying firelight. Maya Carter was alive. She gasped, chest burning. Her shoulders seared, hair singed. The final blast had thrown her clear, and thick sand saved her. It took minutes to orient herself. Her survival watch blinked. Transmission complete. The data Voss's betrayal was out. She smiled faintly, blood caking her lips. I did it, Dad. But armored vehicles approached. She saw headlights sweep the sand. They weren't here to rescue, they were ensuring no survivors. She gripped her father's knife. Her M24 was broken in the blast, ammo low. She had only herself and her will. She crawled behind a downed drone's wreckage. Heavy boots approached six-man sweep team, led by a figure with night vision and a radio. Colonel Voss reporting site clear. No signs of life. The radio crackled. Insure it. No traces. Burn it. Then withdraw. His words ignited her blood. No fear. Only fire. She waited as the nearest soldier passed. In a flash, she rose, slashing his neck below the helmet. He fell silently. She rolled, grabbed his rifle, and fired 2 shots at the vehicle. The bullets didn't penetrate, but distracted them. As the team scattered, she crawled into a crevice. Bullets sparked off rocks. She slid through a narrow gap into a small cave. Darkness enveloped her. Only her heartbeat and ragged breaths audible. Outside, radios barked. She's alive. Find her. They deployed micro-drones. Maya knew staying meant detection. She pulled the second data chip from her pocket, her final backup. If she died, the truth lived. But if she survived, she'd deliver it to someone trustworthy. She thought of Patterson, Delta 9's medic, the one she'd saved, not listed as dead. If anyone was honest, it was him. Biting her lip, Maya forced herself up. Each step tore old wounds, but she crawled out as dawn broke. The northern route led to Green River, where she hoped to contact Patterson. She moved all day, avoiding main roads, sipping her last water drops. Drones and chopper shadows flickered in the distance. They wouldn't stop. They couldn't let her live. At sunset, she collapsed by a boulder, exhausted. Closing her eyes, she drifted into a half-dream, her father's voice clear. You survive with skill, but only faith keeps you moving. She opened her eyes. In the dusk, a faint smoke trail rose, a campfire or checkpoint. She didn't know, but she staggered toward it. It was an abandoned truck stop. Inside were signs of life. Canned food, an oil lamp, medical supplies. She found an old satellite phone, its battery weak but functional. She dialed Delta's medical frequency, hoping against hope. The signal blinked. Then a familiar hoarse voice answered. This is Patterson. Who's calling? She nearly sobbed. It's me, Ghost. I'm alive. Silence. Then he gasped, disbelieving. God, Maya. They said you were dead. They're hunting you. I know. But I have proof. Black Mesa, Voss, everything. You have to disappear. They're intercepting all signals. I can't. Patterson, I need to meet you. One last time. A long breath. Then, softly, 3 hours, West Green River, abandoned mine. Be careful. I don't know who's listening. Maya nodded, though he couldn't see. She hung up, hands trembling. She had a destination. But looking out the window, she saw a red light blinking in the sky, a recon drone. She cursed, diving behind the wall, firing 2 shots. The drone crashed, exploding, but it was too late. They had her location. She grabbed her gear and ran into the night, engines roaring behind her. White lights tore through the dark, chasing her. But this time, she wasn't running to hide. She was running to her rendezvous where, perhaps, the final confrontation between Ghost and those bearing the truth would unfold. Night fell, bringing the chill of the San Rafael Range. Green River slept, oblivious to the silent war creeping closer. At the western edge, the abandoned mine lay silent in the dark valley. Rusted rigs stood alone, and the night was so thick the moonlight barely reached. Maya arrived at 2:47 a.m. She'd walked 8 hours, each step a battle against pain-encrusted blood. Her eyes burned from sleeplessness, but her gaze was sharp as a blade. In the shadows, she hid between 2 old coal cars, scanning. No soldiers, no drones, just wind and creaking metal. A faint sound came from the mine. She raised her rifle. A man stepped from the dark, in a gray coat and medical glasses. Patterson. He raised his hands. It's me, Ghost. No one followed. Maya didn't lower her weapon. She scanned wind, stirred sand, no tire tracks or lights. After seconds, she nodded, signaling. I can't trust anyone anymore, she said softly. I know. Patterson stepped closer. But I saw your recording. My God, Maya. You stirred a hornet's nest. He opened his pack, pulling out a hard drive and a small laptop. I downloaded a copy from the civilian satellite. Your data's spreading. Some independent outlets have it. Voss is furious. They've issued a nationwide manhunt for you. Manhunt? Maya laughed hoarsely. Good. At least I know I exist. Patterson looked at her, eyes full of pity. They're calling you a security threat. Armed deserter. Maya, you can't stay here. They're coming. I know, she said, eyes scanning. But I won't run forever. I have to finish this myself. A faint hum sounded. Both looked up. 2 green lights approached recon drones. Maya gritted her teeth. They tracked your laptop. We need to move. Now. Patterson packed the laptop, stowing the drive, but it was too late. Flares dropped, lighting the valley. Shadows appeared on the ridges, at least 10 special forces, moving in a pincer formation. Carter! A megaphone boomed. U.S. Special Forces. You're surrounded. Drop your weapon. Maya looked at Patterson. If they catch me, they'll kill you. I'm not leaving. I've seen enough to know who the real criminals are. She nodded, eyes fixed on the targets. They couldn't fight head-on, but she knew the terrain, old coal mines with tunnels and sinkholes. In darkness, they had a chance. She signaled, pulling Patterson into the main mine. Bullets erupted behind, dust flying. They dove down rusted stairs, flashlight beams glinting off walls. Gunfire echoed like thunder underground. At a deeper level, Maya stopped, firing back. A bullet grazed her shoulder, but she held steady, pulling Patterson behind a crate. You're hit! He panicked. I'm fine. She gritted her teeth. They want me alive, so they're holding back. She scanned, twisting tunnels, old carts, rotting beams. Then she saw it. An old compressed air pipe along the ceiling. If she shot it, the pressure could trigger an explosion to block the entrance. She wrapped her bandage around Patterson's shoulder. Go north through the side tunnel. When you hear the blast, run. Keep the drive, Patterson. If I don't make it, make the world know. No, I'm not leaving you. That's an order, Doc. She snapped. You're the last one I trust. Go. Patterson stared, eyes tearing, then nodded, and ran for the side tunnel. Maya inhaled, turning to face the pursuers. Footsteps echoed. Shadows moved in smoke and dust. A familiar voice rang out, cold. Carter. I know you're there. Colonel Simon Voss. He stepped from the dark, in black body armor, a gleaming silver pistol in hand. You disappoint me. You could have been a legend, Carter, but you chose to fight us. I'm not fighting my country, Maya said, voice raw. I'm fighting those who turned honor into a tool. Honor? He scoffed. Honor doesn't save the world. Secrets do. He raised his pistol. Maya aimed her M4 at the pipe above him, then let the secrets explode. She fired. The blast tore through the night. Fire and smoke crashed down, throwing Voss and his team back. The mine shook, rocks falling. Maya was flung against the wall, vision blackening. When she opened her eyes, silence and smoke remained. The entrance had collapsed, blocking pursuit. She tried standing, head spinning, ears ringing. Somewhere in the rubble, she heard Patterson calling, but she could only manage a hoarse breath. Go, Patterson. Keep going. She knew she wouldn't make it out, but he had the drive. The world would know. She slumped against the rock, staring at a faint light through a crack above. Wind slipped in, stirring her bloodied hair. Her father's voice echoed, not distant, but close, like a breath. A sniper doesn't die in vain, Maya. They make their death a bullet for the truth. She closed her eyes, smiling. I know, Dad. I've fired my shot. 3 weeks after the mine collapse, Green River returned to a fragile calm. National news reported vaguely. A female soldier, suspected deserter, presumed dead in explosion. Her name faded. Online, posts about Ghost Carter vanished, systematically erased. All that remained were garbled recordings, anonymous forum rumors, and a persistent whisper. She's still out there. But in a derelict Denver warehouse, hundreds of miles away, someone knew the truth. Maya Carter was breathing. She woke under a dim yellow bulb. Every muscle ached, her left shoulder tightly bandaged, an oxygen mask taped to her mouth. Beside her, Patterson slept slumped in a chair, clutching a notebook. She stirred. Her throat burned. Voice a whisper. How long? Patterson jolted awake, overjoyed. God, Maya, you're awake. 7 days in a coma. I thought you... Don't say dead. She cut him off, smiling faintly. That line's getting old. He laughed weakly, eyes brimming with relief. I pulled you out before the mine fully collapsed. You lost a lot of blood. I stitched you up. The rest was a miracle. Maya nodded, sitting up. Her head spun, but memories were sharp. The explosion. Fire. Voss thrown back. Patterson's shouts. The drive. You have it? Here. Patterson opened a case, revealing a silver hard drive. I sent a copy to an investigative reporter in New York. But you need to see this. He opened a laptop. A grainy video played, shot on a handheld camera. A middle-aged man in a military suit stared into the lens. Voss's voice, low and clear. If this reaches the public, I've failed. Black Mesa isn't a weapon, it's a soldier mind control program. We tested it on our own. Carter. She's the final product. Maya froze. What? He's lying, Patterson said quickly. I checked. No evidence you were experimented on. No. You don't get it. Her hands shook, eyes fixed on the screen. He's rewriting the story to make me a test subject, not a witness. She stood, stepping outside. Denver's night was freezing. City lights glowed like distant watch posts. If he's alive, he'll twist everything. When the world believes I'm Black Mesa's failed experiment, the truth dies with me. Patterson followed, draping a coat over her. Voss has no power left. Your data triggered a defense committee investigation. You think it'll be fair? She turned, voice bitter. You forget I was in that system. He fell silent. She stepped further, staring at her hands calloused, scarred anew over old. If I'm Ghost, I'd vanish. But Maya Carter has work to do. The next morning, they headed north, off main roads. Maya wore old fatigues, hair cropped short, face gaunt but eyes burning. At each stop, she listened to radios, read new articles. The Black Mesa scandal spread. Reports called it a failed mind control experiment and labeled her a deluded soldier. None said she'd exposed a murder plot. Patterson handed her a newspaper. Headline: Sergeant Carter Sniper Genius or Failed Experiment? She smirked. Good. The more they doubt, the more they'll search. And the truth will rise. Her phone pinged an anonymous message. Meet me in Seattle. I have what you need. No number, no name, just a symbol. A circle with a slash, the mark of her father's old sniper unit. She looked at Patterson. Someone else is in this. Could be a trap. Maybe. But if it's real, it's the only lead to whoever's behind Voss. They left that night, through muddy mountain roads. The path was treacherous, but her mind was clearer than ever. She wasn't the hunted soldier anymore, she was the last witness to a crime. And Ghost wasn't just a call sign. It was a reminder that truth, though buried, always haunts its creators. 3 days later, they reached Seattle. Rain poured relentlessly, washing away dirt and secrets. City lights reflected like blood streaks on water. Maya sat in a small cafe, hood up, eyes scanning through the window. A woman entered, black leather coat. Tall, blonde hair tied back. She sat, placing a thick envelope on the table. Ghost Carter? Call me Maya. I work for an independent international group. Your data wasn't blocked, it reached us. And you need to know. Voss didn't die. He left the U.S. 2 days before the mine collapse. Maya tilted her head, eyes narrowing. Where is he? South America. He's restarting Black Mesa with private funding. Maya gripped the envelope, heart pounding. The world thinks I'm dead. He won't see me coming. The woman smiled. And that's your advantage, Ghost. Maya looked out at the rain, falling like blurred bullets. In her gray steel eyes, pain gave way to a resolute fire, ready for a new fight. If he wants to continue that project, she said softly, clutching the gun in her coat, I'll make him remember some bullets never miss. Seattle's rain never stopped, falling day and night, cleansing grime and secrets alike. In a small third-floor room of an old hotel, Maya Carter sat by the window, clutching the envelope the stranger left. On the table, a map of South America lay open, red dots connected by scrawled lines. All converged on one place, Sierra Perdida, a remote Bolivian mountain range where Black Mesa was reborn. Outside, car horns blended with the rain. Maya watched Patterson check their gear below. He'd followed her this far, knowing each step could be their last. You don't have to keep going, Pat, she said, voice low and hoarse. You have a family. My family lives in a country that calls you a traitor, he replied, not looking up. If I walk away, I betray myself. Maya gave a rare smile. You once called me a ghost. No. Patterson zipped the bag. You're a bullet that hasn't found its mark yet. 3 days later they crossed into Peru with fake IDs. Maya dyed her hair black, posing as a freelance filmmaker. Patterson played a reporter. They flew, then rented a pickup to climb the muddy mountain roads. Rain lashed, blurring everything into a nightmare haze. By the fourth night, they reached its Sierra Perdida research facility, disguised as a South American pharmaceutical center. High steel fences, floodlights, and privately badged guards, not military, but Voss's hired mercenaries. Maya lay on a hill, scanning through thermal binoculars. At least 2 guard posts, a 12-man patrol, and heat sensors at the side gate. How do we get in? Patterson asked. Like always, quiet, no trace. I go in, you wait for my signal. He shook his head. If you're not back in 3 hours, send my last video to the press. I won't let the truth die again. Maya gripped her rifle. She'd learned to merge with darkness like breathing. Now, that skill returned sharp, cold, necessary. She slid down the slope, weaving through wet trees. Each step brought memories. Afghanistan bombs, her father's eyes, Webb's dying words. But this time, she wasn't fleeing the past. She was walking through it. At the fence, she cut the wire, slipping through, moving toward the main warehouse. Inside, machine hums and voices echoed. Through a door crack, she saw dozens of technicians in white coats at steel tables. A large screen displayed, Black Mesa 2, cognitive field testing. Maya's blood froze. The screen showed familiar faces, Delta 9 soldiers, listed as initial test subjects. Below each, terminated. She bit her lip, holding back tears. Then her eyes locked on the final line. Subject D. 1. Maya Carter. Status. Reactivated. Her heart seized. God. She stepped back, breathing hard. They'd turned her story into an experiment, using her name to legitimize the program. The media believed what Voss wanted. She was Black Mesa's failed machine, not a witness. Footsteps sounded behind. She spun, rifle raised, but it wasn't a soldier. The blonde woman from Seattle. I knew you'd come, she said calmly. Who are you really? Evelyn Rains, ex-DARPA. I left when I learned what Black Mesa truly was. I tried to warn others, but Voss was faster. Maya kept her rifle up. Why bring me here? To help me, or test me? Both. They're uploading D1 to global servers. If they succeed, they'll create hundreds of ghost soulless, obedient. Evelyn tossed her a small drive. This is the shutdown code, but you need the command center in the basement to activate it. Maya nodded, pocketing the drive. And Voss? He's there, overseeing it. She inhaled, her gray steel eyes glinting in the red light. Good. I owe him a bullet. Evelyn grabbed her arm. Kill him, and you're no longer a witness. You'll be the weapon he wants. No, Maya said. I'll be justice. She turned, vanishing into the dark. Evelyn watched, eyes tinged with sorrow. They call her Ghost. But what's coming today isn't a specter. It's a storm. The Black Mesa 2 control room blazed like daylight. Fluorescent lights gleamed off cold steel, ozone, and hot electronics thick in the tense air. In the center, Maya Carter stood 30 meters from Colonel Simon Voss. Both held guns, 2 snipers, 2 worlds, separated by a single breath. I thought you'd understand, Voss said, voice hoarse but calm, as if her M24 wasn't aimed at his chest. You're living proof of this project. You surpassed human limits. You are Black Mesa. No. Maya's eyes were ice. I'm what Black Mesa can't control. He laughed, a sound no longer human. You think the world needs truth, Carter? Truth scares people. They need myths, a ghost like you, to believe justice exists while they sleep in lies. If I'm a myth? Maya raised her rifle, voice low. This myth ends you. Alarms blared. Evelyn, upstairs, had triggered the data purge. Red lights flashed, purge sequence initiated, flickering on screens. Voss didn't flinch. He lowered his gun, but his other hand pressed a console button. A glass panel opened, revealing neural simulation tubes, Delta 9's data. No longer flesh, just code. See? They didn't die. They live in code. And you will too, Carter. Forever loyal. A flash. A robotic arm descended, its syringe filled with clear liquid. Maya stepped back, shooting the tube, cold vapor hissing. No one's loyal to you, Voss. Only survivors remain. She rolled aside, firing 3 rapid shots. 2 hit servers. 1 grazed his shoulder. Voss staggered, blood splattering the wall, but he laughed a victor's grin. You don't get it, Ghost. I don't need to live. I need you to finish this for me. Before she could react, he pressed a wrist button, activating a mind copy program to the central server. Instantly, his face appeared on dozens of screens, eyes piercing through digital haze. You can kill me, but not the idea. Maya scanned the facility was collapsing. Steel beams fell. Sparks flared from circuits. She plugged Evelyn's drive into a port. The screen read, "Override sequence. Requires direct shot to core. One shot. One chance." Through reinforced glass, she had to hit the power core exactly. A half-inch miss, and the facility would detonate, trapping her. She squinted, breathing deeply, hands trembling. Her father's voice was clear, as if beside her. "You can shoot in a storm, but only if you trust your bullet." She fired. Everything froze: smoke, light, time. Only her breath and heartbeat remained. The bullet left the barrel, pierced the glass, and struck the core. A blue flash erupted like a sun exploding underground. Voss vanished from the screens. The room shook. Maya was thrown back, head slamming the floor. Fire and smoke filled the space, but through the haze, she saw Delta 9's tubes shatter, their data freed from control. Evelyn rushed in, pulling her up. "Let's go, the facility's done." "No." Maya shook her head, eyeing the console. "One more thing." She typed rapidly, uploading Black Mesa's backup to a free satellite. Before the system crashed, she hit send. "Don't let them rewrite history again." They ran. Behind, flames consumed the center. A massive explosion tore through the forest, a white pillar rising hundreds of meters, ripping through the rain. Black Mesa too collapsed like a beast devouring itself. Outside, Patterson waited in a jeep, horrified by the fireball. Seeing Maya and Evelyn emerge, he started the engine, shouting, "Get in!" The jeep sped off, fire chasing behind. They crossed a wooden bridge before it collapsed. In the rear view, Black Mesa sank into a fiery pit, gone as if it never existed. They stopped on a hill. Rain poured, ash mixing with water. Maya stepped out, looking up. A faint light blinked on her watch, satellite confirmation. The data was global. No one could erase it now. "It's over," Patterson said behind her. "You won." "No." Her voice was soft. "I fired the last shot. The world decides now." Evelyn approached, handing her the old knife etched with "Stay calm," lost in the mine collapse. "It's back with its owner." Maya took it, smiling. "Thanks." On Bolivia's horizon, dawn broke. First rays touched her face, reflecting in her gray steel eyes. "Dad," she whispered. The last shot hit its mark. She returned to the jeep, walking forward. In the distance, sunlight caught the faded inscription on her rifle. 3,247 meters. The impossible shot. That shot was no longer just a record. It was a symbol of a woman who proved truth, though buried in ash, could pierce steel and lies to strike the world's heart. Bolivia's morning sky was crystal clear, sunlight touching Maya Carter's gray eyes. In her cold, misty breath, she felt lighter than ever. Black Mesa was gone. The truth was free. But in her heart, a void lingered, not from war, but from silence. No one knew of that final shot. No medals, no flag-draped coffins. Just 3 survivors and an unspoken promise. We did right. Maya didn't need the world's praise. She only needed to know her shot ensured no one like Voss could control another soul. She pulled the worn photo from her pocket, young Maya and her father, at a Wyoming dawn range. His smile. Her eyes. "I hit the mark, Dad," she whispered. Somewhere, in the static of scrambled radio waves, Ghost's voice echoed. Not as a hero, but a warning. If you think you're too small to change things, remember one bullet, aimed true, can shift the world. If you want to know where Ghost Carter is now, stay tuned. Her story isn't over.